At the Elk Valley Snow and Avalanche Workshop in November 2019, I spoke about the risk of ski cutting and some essentials for recreationists who choose to ski cut and accept the risk. This video is a short and updated version of that presentation. But first, let's look at ski cutting by an avalanche practitioner. Here is a video clip of a practitioner ski cutting and triggering dry slab avalanches. Note that the ski cutter stayed at the top of the slope to reduce the risk. Before we focus on my list of essentials or must-dos, let's look at the risk from ski cutting. We don't know the risk of ski cutting by recreationists. However, in 2019, I and these practitioners wrote 3 papers and made 1 video on the risk of ski cutting by avalanche practitioners. Here is a key result. Avalanche practitioners experience about 1 near miss for every 2,500 ski cuts and about 1 injury for every 44,000 ski cuts. You can see the risk for more serious injuries here. Avalanche operations are working to reduce these rates of injury. You can find the video online by searching for How Risky Ski Cutting Vimeo. While we don't know the risk of ski cutting by recreationists, we know the average recreationist does not have the training, skills, and experience of the average avalanche practitioner. So on average, the risk to recreationists will be greater, perhaps substantially greater than the risk that avalanche operations are trying to reduce. Now let's look at my list of essentials for reducing the risk of ski cutting by recreationists. Here is the first of the 9 essentials. The number 1 avalanche problem type in the Bolton should be storm snow, wind slab, dry loose, or wet loose. And the expected size should be small or medium. That is, no large avalanches are expected. Essential number 2. A persistent slab should not be listed as a problem type, or if a persistent slab is listed as an avalanche problem, it should be unlikely in the Bolton, and no avalanches larger than a size D2 should be expected. Also, deep persistent avalanches should not be listed as a problem in the Bolton. Because different forecast centers use different graphics and terminology in their Boltons, this slide is my attempt to be generic. Those of you who ride in the Rockies, especially the east slopes of the Rockies, are probably saying, whoa, a persistent or deep persistent avalanche problem is possible or more likely for most of the winter. This implies no ski cutting by recreationists until, if we're lucky, the springtime. Yes, that is what I mean. Call me conservative, but persistent and deep persistent slabs have killed too many experienced people. Essential number 3. The person doing the ski cutting should be a strong rider with releasable bindings. Since most snowboard bindings do not release, I refer to skiers in this video. Also, don't use your pull straps, close up your jacket, etc. Of course, the ski cutter must have a transceiver, and an airbag is a useful precaution. The ski cutter will also have a probe and a shovel, since everyone traveling in avalanche terrain, including the observers, must have these. Essential number 4. Observers should be located where they can see the entire length of the ski cut and where the ski cutter might get carried to. Sometimes this requires 2 observers. The sketch on the right is for crossing an unavoidable but potentially hazardous slope, but in my view also applies to the ski cutting, partly because it shows a well-located observer. It is from an obsolete 1985 curriculum document from the Canadian Avalanche Association course for advanced recreationists. Essential number 5. Do not ski cut above a terrain trap. See this person ski cutting the side of a gully? The gully is a terrain trap where avalanche forces are likely to be high and burial more likely. The slope on the right has no terrain trap and a gentle transition at the bottom of the slope. These slope characteristics help reduce the risk to the ski cutter. Essential number 6. The slope should be short and the convexity at the top of the slope should be short. A short slope means a large avalanche is unlikely. Also, short slopes allow good communication between the observer and the ski cutter, even if the ski cutter is carried down slope. Now, about the convexity. It should be short or abrupt as shown in this diagram. The skier should cut across the top of the slope here where the crown fracture is expected. If the avalanche releases, the crown fracture will be close to and not above the ski cutter's skis. If the convexity is long or gradual, the location of the crown fracture is uncertain. If you cut the slope here, the slab may release above you, carrying you downslope in the avalanche. If you cut the slope here, you may learn nothing, or worse, think the slope is stable because you didn't trigger an avalanche. There is no right place to cut a slope like this. The last time I was pushed during a ski cut was in 2001. The convexity was gradual and the slab released above me. Luckily, I was able to stay upright and was not pushed far, but the outcome could have been worse. And that is why avoiding gradual convexities is on my list of essentials. Unexpected propagation above the ski cutter is serious. This skier-triggered slab avalanche released all the way up to the ridge. Now is a good time to talk about hard slabs and deep slabs, which often produce unpredictable propagations. Essential number 7. Just say no to hard slabs and deep slabs. As we saw in the last photo, deep slabs and hard slabs can propagate unpredictably. Recall the slab that the Bolton was talking about. If the weak layer at the base of the slab is here, then it's a hard slab or a deep slab. If the weak layer is here, then there will be less surprises and less risk. In this photo, the ski tracks shown by the arrow do not penetrate the slab. This is a hard slab that propagated to the right, where the slab was over 6 feet thick. 2 people died in the avalanche. Essential number 8. Okay, here's that old sketch again. Ski cut from a low-risk location to a low-risk location near the top of the slope. In this photo of ski cutting, the tracks go from the top of the slope to a low-risk location to the right of the photo. Notice that it is also a short slope. Essential number 9. Learn from someone with ski cutting experience, such as an avalanche practitioner. An experienced person can help you apply the previous 8 essentials and technique on real slopes. So here's my list of 9 essentials for recreationists who choose to ski cut and accept the risk. Notice that the first 2 points are about the Bolton, the next 2 are about people, then 2 about the terrain, 1 about the snowpack, and the last 2 are about ski cutting technique. Remember that I am not recommending that recreationists ski cut. After preparing this list for the workshop in Fernie, I realized it summarizes what I have been doing to help me reduce the risk of ski cutting while I am ski touring. While ski cutting can yield useful information, remember that it can increase your avalanche risk. So change my list or make your own list to bring the risk down to a level you can accept.